everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. I'm Brad McMullen, along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops, and let's talk about it. Week number 8, some great games that you're going to be following this week. Let's talk about the first one. Oklahoma State undefeated at Iowa State, but the Cowboys, the undefeated team, a 7-point underdog.
Yeah, and I could see why. As you know, I've been out here week after week. I've been pubbing Oklahoma State, believe in them, really good football team. But when I look at each side of the football, I've watched tape, you look at statistics, as good as Oklahoma State is on defense, and they're great. I had a chance to visit with Jim Knowles, their D coordinator, last week, and gave me some great insight on how they're playing. In fact, I said it would confuse Casey Thompson to a degree. Well, they had a pick 6 because it did confuse
Yeah, you
them.
picked OSU to go on the road and beat Texas, and they did just that.
Yeah, they're a good football team. But as good as Oklahoma State is on defense, who's number one in every defensive statistic out there? Iowa State. And then when you look at offense, Brock Purdy is outplaying overall Spencer Sanders. When you look at percentage completions, touchdowns, those things. And just when you think the run game for OSU, Jaylen Warren, who's a heck of a player and they're running the ball great, who runs the ball better? Breece Hall and Iowa State. So about every place I look, Iowa State's just a little bit better. Plus, they're at home. So I've got to go with Iowa State. I hate it for my Oklahoma people here. And I'll be happy if I'm wrong. But in the end, I think it's a little bit too much. Just in every category, Iowa State shows they're a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, this is a team that returned 20 starters for Iowa State. A very good team that was preseason in the top 10. They just didn't play well at the beginning.
And that's been their MO under Coach Campbell. I don't know why, because he's a great coach. But for whatever reason, they've started each year he's been there, I don't know every year, but the last few, and it's slow, and then they really catch their rhythm after that.
Yeah, last week they looked like a top 10 team, and because it's an undefeated Oklahoma State team, a top 10 team coming to town, it's a circle the wagons type of game for Iowa State to get right back in the Big 12 race.
Absolutely, and their stadium, Jack Trice Stadium, will be packed, and they always have great fan base, and they'll be roaring. And anyway, I think it's going to be a tough game for Oklahoma State.
All right, Oregon, who handed Ohio State its only loss of the season so far, will be on the road at UCLA. UCLA, though, is the favorite by 2 points.
And I like that. Chip Kelly, they both, Mario Cristobal as well at Oregon, really good football teams. Oregon was impressive. I saw it in person, them beat Ohio State. But I really like what Chip Kelly and UCLA is doing. They're a really solid, good football team overall. And at their place in the Rose Bowl, I think they're going to get it done. UCLA will.
I think this could be a huge win for them. All right, LSU, who surprised a lot of us by beating Florida last week. Of course, the news around Ed Ogeron on the road taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss 5-1, and Ole Miss favored by double digits in this game, 10 points now.
Yeah, I watching LSU, I'm surprised their defense is just okay at the best. In fact, watching it, I was very unimpressed with it for an LSU defense, what you're used to seeing. I see a lot of mistakes. I see a lot of problems. I see a lot of one high safety, which is very predictable. And Ole Miss, they really do a great job. Very explosive offense. So I think they're going to have a hard time containing Ole Miss's offense. And Lane Kiffin, does a great job offensively. And Jeff Lebby, their offensive coordinator, a former OU guy, they do a really good job. So I think it's going to be difficult for them to contain Ole Miss overall.
And I think with all the questions you have with LSU defensively, you still have the questions on the offense. I mean, is the offense that played against Florida going to show up, or the one that was completely shut down by Kentucky going to show up?
Exactly. And there's the head coach, everyone knows, isn't going to be there next year. That matters too, now that it's all out there in the open. So definitely I like Ole Miss in that game as well.
All right, the Clemson Tigers, for the first time this year, that's right, for the first time this year, an underdog. That's right, Clemson on the road at Pittsburgh.
Is that possible?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. An underdog, -3 points. Pitt playing really well at 5-1, but Clemson starting to look a little bit better. Not great by any stretch of the imagination, but starting to put some things together, at least defensively.
Well, they're always good defensively. Brent Venables, we all know him here in Oklahoma, was with us for, I think he was with me for 13 or 14 years, does a great job, and their defense continues to do a great job. But boy, they have just really struggled, Clemson has offensively. They just, for whatever reason, cannot get it.
Why is that?
It's hard to say. You know, their coordinator's been there. He's been an excellent offensive coordinator. You know, the talent is there. I mean, they have a talented team, but for whatever reason, they haven't been able to really be productive. And we're too far into the season now to say, oh, all of a sudden it's just going to change. I don't think it is. This is going to be what they are this year, low-scoring team. I know Clemson has a great defense. They can only hold them down so much. Pitt has been really exciting to watch, different than most Pitt teams. I mean, they've really putting up points, being explosive, and I think Clemson's going to have a hard time with Pitt this week.
And the home team, you know the crowd is going to be rocking with that opportunity. All right, Wisconsin on the road at Purdue. Yeah, the same Purdue team that shocked this guy's Iowa Hawkeyes team coming home. A lot of people going to be excited about that game, but they're going to be the home underdog as Wisconsin's actually favored by a field goal.
I don't know how that can be because I've been a homer for Iowa all along. I don't make any bones about it. I am. But they went into Iowa where no one's been able to do all year, even on they were 6-0, 7-0 Iowa, 6-0 Iowa team and beat them handily. They had a strong win there. And I'm a kind of a homer for Wisconsin. Barry Alvarez is one of my dear friends and a guy who I played under at Iowa, who I want Wisconsin to always win. And I don't see it happening. They have really struggled offensively. They had a great defense, but offensively, they have been really very average. Can't throw the football. They're not running the football like a normal Wisconsin team has and usually does. So I don't see it happening. I'd take Purdue in a minute in that game.
And one of the things that Purdue has done so much better since the Notre Dame game is protect the football. You talk about it all the time, Coach, the game inside the game. They're not turning the ball over.
And people think it's coach speak. It's so true. If you're giving up possessions, fumbling the ball, and just think you're on your own side of the field and you give up all those plays coming and you fumble the ball or throw an interception and you give them the ball with a short field, it is such a drastic change. Turnovers are a major issue. You ask any coach, it's usually the number one factor in winning and losing games.
All right, Northwestern traveling to Michigan. Michigan, the Wolverines, undefeated, but they're favored by 23.5 points over Northwestern at home.
And I like that. I'm not a betting guy. I don't know that they'll cover, but I like Michigan winning. McNamara, their quarterback, has done. I've watched him a lot this week. Does a great job of not forcing the ball downfield. If he doesn't like what he sees, he takes the easy dump down to the running back, quick out route to his receiver, a quick hitch route that throws for 5, he falls forward 2 more yards, gets 7. He doesn't force the football, and Michigan does a great job running the football. Much like Oklahoma, you'll see double pulls, a pulling guard, a lineman like you used to be, kicking out, and then an H-back or the tackle following him and leading up inside. You'll see it all day, double pulls, different ways, great patience running up inside. I think they lead the Big Ten in rushing. And then McNamara doing a great job being smart with the football. They have minimal turnovers overall. And in Northwestern, not a normal Pat Fitzgerald team. I think he's the perfect coach for Northwestern. Has had great years, great coach. But this year, for whatever reason, they don't have it all together. I think they're going to have a hard time dealing with Michigan.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Michigan's going to win the game. There's this part of me that thinks that maybe they're looking ahead. They got Michigan State coming up. They have Ohio State coming up. I think they're going to win. But 23.5 points is a lot.
And they're not a high-scoring team to begin with. So if any bettors are out there, I'd take them winning but not covering. That'd be my deal.
All right, the Oklahoma Sooners, the number 2 team in the coaches poll, the number 3 team in the AP, going up to Kansas to take on the Kansas Jayhawks. And When Mark Mangino was there, Kansas was really, really good. They haven't been good for more than a decade now.
Yeah, since Mark Mangino left. Yeah, they've been through, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 coaches since then. Mark Mangino, when you went up there to play them, you had to be ready to play or you were going to get beat. But still, it's still the same way that way. I don't care where you're going. You can never just roll your hat out and think you're going to win. So OU will have to have it strapped on tight and play a good football game. And I think as much as anything, OU is starting to catch a rhythm. And I think they're in that mindset now. They don't care who they're playing. Mm-hmm. We want to play well. We're going to play to our capabilities, to our standards, and we're not worry about who we're playing or where we're playing. And I think OU is getting to that point here in the back half of the year, and I think it'll show against Kansas. I think OU will go up there and play a really good football game.
And Kansas offensively, quarterback threw for 50 yards in one game, 60 yards in another. It's going to be interesting playing OU. And offensively, Oklahoma, 55 points against Texas. And they scored another 50 last week. Things are really clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, you can't deny the fact that Caleb Williams coming in has given a spark. Mm-hmm. The run game with the quarterback has opened up. I think also along with Caleb Williams and seeing the field, making some good throws and some plays with his feet, our O-line at OU is coming together in the last couple of weeks, and that's showing in the run game, and that helps the quarterback and the offense so much. And I think that is really starting to blend and come together under Coach Bill Bedenbaugh and Lincoln Riley. That's going to make a difference as well. We'll run the football really well there too.
And I tell you, the receivers at Oklahoma, it's like Walmart, open 24/7. It seems like they're running some great routes. All right, Tennessee on the road at number 4 Alabama. Alabama favored by 25 points.
Well, they're still Alabama. That's. In Tennessee, going through Josh Heupel's first year, they're doing a great job. I really believe that. They're playing really good football. But, they're without certain parts. I don't know what their roster looks like, but I'm sure with all the coaching change, they're down in the number of scholarships that they have. So going to Alabama, that's going to be a tough task. Alabama, having been beat, knows their back's against the wall. That can't happen again to have a chance to get into the playoffs. So Alabama will be difficult for them. Alabama will play well.
All right, and our last game we're going to talk about for week number 8, USC, a disappointing year at 3-3, a coaching change on the way. At number 13, Notre Dame, 1-loss Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored by 7.
Yeah, it won't be, Notre Dame is not an explosive team, so it's going to be a tight game. I just got to believe at home, Notre Dame, they still only have 1 loss. There's a lot of pride in that program. USC at, I think, 3-3, am I right?
Yes, 3-3. Yep.
Difficult for them. They know their coach isn't with them. They haven't looked really
They've looked
good.
Bad.
Yeah, they've looked bad. I don't ever like to say it, but they haven't looked good. So I don't see that being... I like Notre Dame in that game, and I would think that they'll more than cover that. I think there's too much pride going on at Notre Dame, a 1-loss team at home. They're going to come out and play well, and it's one of their rival teams, regardless of their record.
All right, big noon kickoff. You're not going to be on the road necessarily. You're going to be in the studio again this week in LA.
I'm pumping them right here. Big noon kickoff in LA. We're on 10 to 12 Eastern time, I guess is the best way to say it. And been a fun group to work with. These guys are the best, really easy to be around. And it's always exciting to show up and go to work with a crew like that. A lot of fun.
It's outstanding. Best pregame show in all of college football, no doubt. And remember, you can enter to win to have lunch with Coach Stoops right here inside the mobile app. And again, for video play 24/7, just tap on our video link. For the Hall of Fame football coach, Bob Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen.